has there ever been a world leader who's killed a pope?
Oh my
And
God.
so, of course, I was like, list of popes who've been murdered. The list is insanely long.
There's a
first of all.
list?
Hey everybody, welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Hannah Hillam, and today we have a special guest host, Alyssa Cooper.
Ooh, it's me again.
Hey.
Hello.
She's back. Alyssa
back, baby.
is a huge part of this podcast, a part of every episode as the editor. And we've known her since I've known you for a while.
Couple years now, yeah.
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah.
We've met at conventions and stuff like that. But Alyssa kindly does all of our editing, a lot of it. What am I talking about?
You do the reels. Give yourself some credit. Which
I
no,
do
I don't
the
wanna
reels.
Do those. I don't want to do those.
Good. I'm glad I am useful.
You have one use,
I have one use, and it's Instagram.
and it's the reels.
And it's the reels. So anyway, Alyssa is stepping in for Kaveh this week because Kaveh is swamped by moving. He's moving to another place.
Which is always a fun process and easy.
So easy. I bet he's just sitting there like, I wish I had less time.
Yeah, he's probably like, eating more pizza.
Look, whenever I picture him,
Yeah.
he's eating pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lives rent-free.
Rent-free in my head. It's like he's eating pizza or watching a movie. That's what he does, right?
It's both of those things.
So anyway, he's moving. So we're going to wish him luck on
Yes.
a nice transition into his new place. And with minimal problems.
Yeah.
Please.
I hope he has one problem, and then
One.
and then because everything has one problem.
Yes.
and then
And I hope it's not that bad.
Yeah, and then I hope he's good, like smooth sailing after that.
It'll
Yeah.
be fine. Anyway, so welcome, Alyssa. Thank you for stepping in.
Yes,
And-
thanks for having me.
So yeah, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
So I had a hard time with this because usually I can kind of predict like, oh, Kaveh's gonna like this one, or how can I make him uncomfortable or happy or whatever. And I'm not saying I do it all to get a reaction from him, but I do a lot of
Like
it
a
to
little
get a
bit.
reaction.
Yeah.
It's what our friendship is like built on, is
Yes.
trying to make each other react extremely to other things. So this was hard because I was like, I've never done this with just Alyssa before.
It's true. This is like a test.
It's you're gonna unfriend me after this, but
This is our last episode, so
thanks for listening. It's been fun. I'll text Kaveh and tell him we're never doing this again.
and he's gonna be like,
Uh,
"I'm moving."
Stop texting me.
No,
So
this is gonna be fun. I always love your tabs. I'm excited to hear what you brought.
okay, it's Catholic. So
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I was like, she's from Colorado. She grew up Catholic. Anyway, and luckily, I already had a bunch of Catholic tabs open because, as you know,
Yes,
the Catholic Pope died
He
last
did.
week.
he did right
Rest in
after
peace.
Easter. Rest in peace.
Right. Bold
Bold
move. To be like, I'll celebrate Easter and then I'm out of here, just like Jesus. And, rest in peace. He's probably like our most progressive Pope or whatever. But this
Yes.
podcast is not about like licking the boots or the what did we wear boots? Little white boots?
I
The
imagine
white,
white
boots of the Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about adding to the endless memes about how J.D. Vance maybe killed the Pope.
He did.
He didn't.
I
mean,
what? I want to
we
blame
can-
him for anything.
I would like to think that the Pope looked at him and was like, this guy's Catholic? I have to get out of here.
I'm done.
There's been a lot of bad Catholic people, but this is it for me.
This one?
Yeah.
And I had to meet with him.
Oh, I'm out of here. I mean, that's another bold move. It would just be like, I'm going to meet the vice president of the U.S. I'm going to have someone lecture him on human rights, and then I'm going to peace.
Yeah, mic
Amazing.
drop.
Exactly. You sent me a meme the other day that was really funny.
Oh,
It was like,
your average like 14-year-old girl at Easter Mass, maybe looking at another girl, and then the Pope dies the next day, and she goes, "Did I do that?" Because she was looking at another girl, and then there's J.D. Vance who actually met with him, and like maybe
isn't Catholic enough to
Yeah.
admit that he killed the Pope.
yeah, every Catholic I've talked to in like the last week is like, yeah, I had the same thought.
Was it me?
Is it because I went till too late of a mass? Like, is that it?
Yeah.
I wasn't. I wasn't paying
Covet?
attention. Yeah, I coveted.
Did I break a commandment? Did I? Yeah,
Literally.
exactly.
If that's a good test of Catholicism. Like, did you feel guilty about it? You're still Catholic.
It's still in there.
Yep.
See, that's the thing. I grew up in a religious society and similar, but I don't know. You guys have got some history to back up that guilt.
We are established.
That is one way to describe the Catholic Church.
We've been around.
So, speaking of being around, so as Francis met with J.D. Vance, everyone's like, "Oh, he probably killed him." Ha 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 ha. Probably didn't. But I wondered, has there ever been a world leader who's killed a pope? And who's actually killed a pope?
Oh my
and
God.
so, of course, I was like, list of popes who've been murdered. The list is insanely long.
There's a list?
There's a Wikipedia list of popes who've been murdered.
They do not cover this in confirmation training?
They don't want you to... They don't want you to know how easy it is to kill your leader.
It's the wrong place to bring it up.
It's like, by the way, this guy's super fallible and will die.
He's very old. You can get him.
You could just trip him. He's, look, nothing against the Pope, you guys, okay?
Listen. Okay, tell me about these murders. I'm excited.
I found not one, not two, but 3 very clear murders of popes done by kings or other leaders. So
Okay. Oh my gosh.
again,
okay.
very established religion. You got everything in there. So
We do.
the first one I'm going to tell you about is Saint Fabian.
Okay.
And he's a saint because he was martyred.
Yeah.
And he was the pope from the year 236 to 250, which is early pope.
It's one of the first ones then.
Very
not
first.
but like
One of the within the history of Catholicism, one of the first.
He's early.
And he's known for a dove landing on his head, and everyone's like, "That's the Holy Spirit." And the Holy Spirit, as a dove, just chose this guy as pope. He's now pope.
What if they still did it that way?
Twist: the bird has to poop on the pope's head,
and instead of the color of smoke, it's the color of poop.
It's the poop. Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I got shat on by a bird in a castle once. I'm the queen.
I knew it.
That bird pooped on so many people when we went to that castle. Doesn't matter. Not a story for today. I also found a cat. Apparently castles have cats.
Oh.
Anyway.
I mean, they should.
They should. Yeah.
Yeah.
To kill the birds. So this dove lands on Fabian. And everyone's like, new pope. That makes sense.
Done.
And he had a good relation with the Roman Empire and on and on. And he helped spread Christianity to the Gauls, a.k.a. France and Belgium. And he was a pope during this really nice, comfortable lull in persecution against Christians. So you could call him lucky.
That's nice for him. Yeah.
For about 10 years. Yeah. And then that didn't last because the king, the Roman emperor died, and a new one, Emperor Decius. J. Decius Vance.
It's
I'm going to say.
Oh my God. It's J. Decius Vance.
J. Decius Vance. He's here.
I knew it.
So J. Decius Vance is the new emperor.
Okay.
And he shows up and he's like, I'm sick of Christians. All right. Things are going to be different under my reign.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to kill all of them. And Christians were like,
again,
please. And at this point, they were very persecuted against because now you think of the Catholics being like persecuted. It's like, oh,
there's just like a lot of jokes about us.
It's, oh no. Oh no, is there some like clergy that's done some bad things? Oh no.
Wait, what?
No, not me.
And you guys
This
noticed?
Oh, shh. Shh. I feel like I'm going to get, like, the Catholics are going to be mad at me.
Here's the
but
thing.
I figured I can dunk on Catholics because
I'm
were
here.
raised Catholic.
Yes, and I can tell you that a Catholic person loves a Catholic joke.
Okay, good.
Like, pretty consistently.
Okay, good. Well, J. Decius Vance didn't like the Catholics. So he was like, everyone needs to start worshiping Roman deities again and worshiping idols. And, Catholics are like, we don't like worshiping idols, except they secretly do because they're like saints.
Yeah.
But they're
it's not an idol, it's a saint.
They're just little deities we like to look at and talk to. But they were like, no, we're not worshiping your Roman idols. Absolutely not. And so the Pope especially was like, no. And so Decius just killed him.
He's like, all right, this simplifies things.
It's like, you know what? I don't believe in your God, so bye. And he was killed on my birthday.
Oh my
January
God.
20th, 250.
You have a good day for things happening.
Inaugurations, David
Yeah.
Lynch being born, this guy dying. I'd like to think that I'm the resurrection of Pope Fabian. Welcome back, Fabian.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm not.
Watch out for
if you-
birds.
Look, I've already survived this long. I don't think there's... I mean, look, if a Roman emperor comes and kills me, I would just let him.
Yeah, honestly, same at this point.
Yeah. Execute me.
Do we know how he killed him?
It's up for debate. So
Okay.
he either like got starved in prison or he was killed by like his men or whatever. No one really knows because it was like almost 2,000 years ago. So Fabian, bye.
All right.
Then bye Fabian.
Bye,
The next
Fabian.
bye Felicia. Whatever.
Bye,
Hey,
Felicia.
look, Kaveh's not here. I have to make the meme jokes from 10 years ago.
Great,
Someone
because
has to.
I don't know the new ones.
Bye Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Yesterday, Kaveh made a joke about, a Clinton joke, a 90s Clinton
yeah.
joke that I was like, am I 12 again? Like, it blew my mind. I was like, okay.
Took you back. Yeah.
Took me right back. So I'm going to try to bring a little bit of that,
Okay.
of the out of touch dad
Please.
joke.
Yes. It's my favorite kind of humor. So
I wish I could agree. I'm just kidding. No, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I do like dad jokes. Anyway, so the next pope
Okay.
to be murdered by a leader that
Yes.
isn't JD Vance.
JD Vance.
Is this is all JD Vance going back in time.
I think he's reincarnated to be the murderer
think
of
so.
popes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so he's the Antichrist.
You heard it here first,
Uh-oh.
folks.
You heard it. You heard it. You heard it here first, folks. All right. So the next one is Pope John the First.
Okay.
And this guy was not pope for long, and I feel really bad for this guy because he seemed like he was maybe doing his best. It was in the year 523, and he was already really sick and like frail when he was elected as pope.
Okay.
So he was just kind of this sad, old, sick person.
He was like, I didn't actually want the job.
Yeah, he's
you
like, guys, I'm tired.
I'm so tired.
And King Theodore the Great, who I've never heard of until now,
Nope.
was what was called an Arian Christian, which nowadays that sounds like a white supremacist. And it's not that kind of Arian, and it's also not like the ancient Iranian kind of Arian.
Okay.
It's different, and it's like named after some saint, and they don't believe in the Trinity. So they believe that the Trinity is like separate dudes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which pissed a lot of Catholics off at the time, because that's kind of a huge...
It's kind of our main thing.
You know, the Trinity, you're very Trinity focused. So the Roman emperor, or the Theodore, he's not the emperor, but King Justin was the Holy Roman Emperor at the time. I like that his name is Justin, like some kid from my 5th grade class.
That reminds me of like the Tiffany problem thing that you talked
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
What is Justin doing in there? Okay.
Another time traveler, apparently. King Justin was the Holy Roman Emperor, and he was like, you guys have to stop not believing in what we believe. You call yourself Catholics. And Theodore was like, hey, Pope, will you go talk to Justin for me, please? And like make him not be mean to me. And the Pope was like, I'm so tired. Like, just didn't want to do it. Like, we have that on record. He was like, I don't want to do this.
Why do I have to do this?
Imagine 1,500 years later, and that's your legacy of just being like reluctant. Like, I don't want to do this.
Please
I'm
don't make me,
tired.
guys.
So he makes him.
Okay,
and he goes, and John's like, hey, Justin, what's up? And Justin's really nice. And he's like, yeah, you know what? This sounds fine. We can make some, some room for you to believe certain things, but you're not going to be like equal to the rest of us. And so,
great. Okay.
Yeah. So the answer is pretty much no. He pretty much nicely said no.
No, we are going to treat you worse, but like
we're going to treat you worse than regular Catholics, but you can still be kind of part of this.
You can think whatever you want.
Whatever, but you're going to die. We're going to judge you, and you should feel guilt.
Yeah.
So the weary Pope John goes back, and he's like, yeah, he was kind of nice. And Theodore's like, I'm suspicious of you now. I think you're on his side. And John's like, I'm just not.
I'm just sick.
I just don't want to do this. And so he puts him in jail. He jails him and just leaves him there to die.
That's harsh.
Awful. So there goes John. Bye, Pope John the
John.
First. Now here comes the big one.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm ready.
The big one is Pope Boniface the Eighth. This guy was kind of a POS. Like,
what? That happened?
Yeah, I know, right? You'd think, whatever. My faith has been shaken.
Shaken to my core.
Where am I? Oh, Pope Boniface.
Okay.
Like, what a good name.
Bad dude.
Bad dude comes from like, this is like around the era in like the 1200s and 1300s where Europe is just like truly insane. Like bad. Like everyone, the Knights Templar are around. There's crusades. There's the Holy Wars.
It's not stable.
Yeah. The plague we're right on the cusp of the plague wiping out a third of Europe.
Good. Okay.
In about 50 years, it'll wipe everybody out.
Dang.
So this is in 1294.
Okay.
So before that huge reset. Boniface comes from like a super nice, rich family.
Hate him
the
already.
Caetani family.
I don't know.
Love him. And he believed himself to be super infallible. So he was like, no, I'm the best. I'm pretty much God.
He had what is it? Boss boy energy.
He had boss boy. Here's the problem though. He had boss boy energy, but he could back it up with like money.
The worst. Yeah. Okay.
But he's God's special boy.
He's God's special boss boy.
God's chosen boss boy on this earth. Boniface the boss boy. Oh my God. Yes. So he was an autocrat. He was revenge driven and he was greedy. And there was even rumors that he had like murdered the Pope before him with a nail to the head, which there's no proof, but rumors. I don't know.
Those didn't just come out of nowhere.
No. You don't just like have a nail in your head.
No.
On accident.
You just fell kind of.
Oops. I fell on a nail. It happens to all of us.
I fell just last week.
I wish I had that excuse as to why I forget everything.
You could just start telling people that. It's all right.
Nail gun.
Nail gun to the head. Sorry, guys.
That could be your new death sign off or your new death. Nail me with a nail gun?
Shoot me with a nail gun, guys.
Shoot me with a nail gun. Lobotomize me with a nail gun.
Nail gun, lobotomies. Let's get them.
That's really lengthy, but we're going
to workshop it.
We'll workshop it. By the end of this episode,
we're going to have one.
He's going to have puree me in the wood chipper. I'll have throw me in the bog and you'll have something.
Nail gun me in the temple. I don't know.
That sounds... I like that.
It's kind of fun.
Nail gun me in the eye. No. Anyway, Pope Boniface also had like the Knights Templar, but he was like kind of hated them because they were kind of going rogue. I don't even want to talk about the Knights Templar, as you know.
No.
Because I don't want white supremacists watching our videos and I don't want YouTube suggesting it to me anymore. So
no, get off the algorithm.
I finally am off the I researched the Templars once algorithm. Finally.
Oh, good. You purged it.
Finally. I purged it. Now it's just like
how to murder a pope.
How to murder a pope. How to crash the stock market through guerrilla whatever the S-men did.
Oh yeah.
So
I love that. That was a very fun episode.
That was fun. Dude, yeah. I wish I could have talked about them all day. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So Pope Boniface, his papacy. His papacy.
Pap smear.
Pope Boniface's pap smear.
Maybe I'm.
Look, he was very progressive.
You don't believe in murder and women's rights.
Ew. Bad. He's like
bad.
He gets murdered for believing women should take care of their gynecological health.
They're like, heresy. No.
Pope pap smear. What's his name again? Boniface. Boniface. Boniface, boy boss.
God's boy boss.
His papacy. His reign. / this whole story kind of fits snugly between two other topics I've talked about on this podcast, which is Edward Longshank's invasion of Scotland in 1296.
Okay.
And the plundering of the Stone of Scone, which was episodes 58 and 59. So, you know.
Hey, that's really helpful for your editor to know.
I know, right? It's like I should do that every time. But his reign ends in 1303, which is the same year that Longshanks was being robbed blind by Richard of Pudlicott in the crown jewel heist of 1303. So it's like this little, it just right here, while that's happening over in France and Italy, this Pope is doing what I'm about to tell you. Oh, and the crown jewel heist is episodes 23 and 4. So
look at you. You already know.
So Pope Boniface was actually on the side of the Scots, and he was like against English supremacy. Although it wasn't great because he was also for Catholic supremacy. So
listen, you can't win all the battles.
You can't. You can't. Your allies can't be perfect, you know.
No.
And he really couldn't keep his nose out of politics, and he just liked to insert himself in all of Europe's problems, and by extension, insert the Catholic Church into all of Europe's problems, which makes a bunch of people mad, especially kings. And so he made enemies all across Europe. And even Dante Alighieri, who wrote Divine Comedy, he wrote him in as being part of the 8th circle of hell. So no one liked Pope Boniface. But his main problem was that he almost immediately started a huge feud with King Philip the Fair of France. This dude was also super greedy, ruthless, overbearing, insane. And as historian Stephen Howarth points out, he said, Europe could not contain 2 such men.
This town's only so big. Wait, that's not the quote.
This town's only big enough for the one of them. I don't know.
That's it. Listen, fill in the blank, guys. I don't know.
Dude, well, they have to. We have a shorthand with our listeners that we're not dumb. We're not good at remembering, and they need to remember. Okay,
they have a responsibility
to remember things and to go look up stuff. Look, I don't care. Open more tabs. So both of these men believed they had ultimate power from God to rule. Okay. And when that happens, and you're both really pig-headed and stubborn, it causes problems. And Pope was like, I'm God's special boy. And what's his name? Philip was like, I'm God's special boy. And he made me a king. And then Boniface is like, yeah, but I'm the Pope. And so it kind of went back and forth. They both believed they were God's special boy. And Boniface was deeply annoyed with Philip because he kept trying to tax the clergy.
Oh.
And to keep them from donating their money to the church. So he's like, church is getting an awful lot of money, and I'd like that money.
Yeah.
I'd like my subjects' money.
I'm God's special boy. Like,
I'm God's special boy. Look, when God made me his special boy, when I decided that, he said everyone's money is yours. I pretty much summed up European politics for the years between 1000 and 1800 right
Truly,
there.
Truly, that is what a lot of it boils down to. I'm God's special boy.
God likes me.
Yeah.
And I'd like your money, please. Right. And so King Philip is like, no, it's me. And Boniface makes this. He's like, I hate this. No, that's my tithing money or whatever. So Philip ends up arresting one of Boniface's bishops, and under bogus allegations, which enraged Boniface. And he was like, I'm going to issue a little bull. They call it a papal bull, which is like a decree. And he's like, and he pretty much said, I'm the rightful power over you because God rules over kings and I'm God. And anyone who says, and you also need to release my friend. And he titled this decree in Latin, Listen, Son, which sounds like an amazing diss track.
Honestly, this is the Kendrick and oh my gosh.
This is Kendrick Lamar, but they're both Drake.
But they're both Drake.
This is the Kendrick Drake. They're both Drake. No one's good in this.
No. Holy
but yeah,
smokes.
he says this is like, listen, son,
Listen,
which was a huge
son.
insult because it's like, you're calling me the King of France son?
Yeah, how dare you?
I killed a lot of people to be here, and you're going to call me son? Anyway, so Philip is like, this guy has got to go. And so he gets all his people in, and he's like, this guy sucks, and I want that money. I want my money to use, and I don't want the church getting money. And if this guy's going to keep making these decrees, then he's got to go. How do we get rid of him? So they compile a bunch of allegations.
Okay.
And they're like, this guy, sodomite. We saw it. He's also
a
heretic.
How did you see it?
I was there for no other reason besides just
unrelated
saying
reasons.
Hi. Unrelated reason. I saw that he is a sodomite.
Just saying. Starts to fall apart.
I love that it's like, you're a sodomite, and it's like, literally, I'm sure the king was too. Under that definition.
Come on.
Also, stop kink shaming everybody.
Yes. It's better to king shame than kink shame.
Incredible. It is better. You heard it here first. It is better to king shame than kink shape. What is it? Kink shame.
Do not kink shame.
I'm an idiot. King shaming, no kink shaming.
I get that
new.
bumper sticker. Yeah, I love it.
I would too, because
Yeah.
I also think we need to shame King Charles into not being a king anymore. By the way, gossip, he's not going to Francis's funeral. So what do you think about that?
Oh, that's kind of a slap.
I know. I think he's probably dying or whatever. I don't care.
Excuses.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa broke off from your church, but I'm still not going to come to the... Anyway. I like to think it's a 500-year-old feud. It's not. He just probably has like a sickness or whatever.
He probably is also sick and like doesn't
Yeah.
want to be made to do things.
He's ancient.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, whatever. So everyone gets together and makes this list, and Boniface hears about it, and he's like, fine, I'm excommunicating the king.
Yes.
And he just straight up is like, excommunication. And Philip's like, no, it's time for me to come get you and bring you over here for a trial, because you can't just excommunicate me. I'm God's boy. And a lot of Philip's allies were like, we just need to kill him. Don't put him on trial. And Philip's like, no, we should do a trial.
We have to procedure, you guys.
There's a procedure to this. I can't just kill anyone. So they got an army and they go to Boniface's like little house, and they held him off. The Boniface and the people they held him off for a while.
Okay.
And they were like, maybe the townspeople will come rescue me. They didn't. And so the king's men finally were like, he's not coming out. We're going to burn this whole place down. We're going to get him. And one guy was like, can I just please stab him? And they're like, chill, not yet. And so they go in, they get him. They imprison him for 3 days as like a hostage scenario.
Oh my God.
Abuse him. The Pope, this is the Pope.
The Pope was like, maybe you should have just killed me. I don't...
Just stab me. Martyr me.
Like, come on.
Anyway, so he gets taken by the king's men, and the townspeople are finally like, oh, we should probably rescue God's appointed boy. Like, we probably shouldn't, let this just slide. So they finally get up and go fight for him. And then the Vatican is like, whoa, what are you doing? Here's some knights. And they go help rescue him. So they get the Pope back, but he's so, like, starved and sick and in poor health that he ends up dying a month later.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Again, pisses Philip off. He's like, I can't even bring you to trial. You just died on your own.
Audacity to die on your, like, how dare you?
On your own terms? He was so mad. He was like, we're going to dig that bitch up and we're going to put him on trial.
No,
I know. So not quite. So he kept trying to like exhume him. He was like, I want him to be on trial. And the new Pope was like, hey, buddy, we can't do that. Like, I don't think you should do that. You're a great king and God loves you. And you didn't do anything wrong, but you can't do that. And so he ends up putting him on trial, but doesn't exhume his body.
All right, I'm glad he has a line.
Yeah. This medieval king has a line he won't cross. And so they put him on trial, and they don't find him guilty of it. It's just kind of a show trial, and mostly for Philip to be like, look at this guy. Everyone just absolved me for kidnapping him. I'm fine. It's good. And the new Pope was like, you're right.
We've moved on.
It's like, guy, get over it. Get over it. There's like peasant rebellions in other countries. You should be worrying about that.
Truly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So pretty much the new Pope was like, God forgives you. Yep. You're the king. Because he's like, if I don't say that, he'll kill me. Literally kill me.
Do you think new Pope was like,
yeah, he's like, okay, I'm the new Pope. That means I have to be on my best behavior with the King of France, because if I'm not,
he's gonna kill me.
He's
gonna
me.
Starve me.
This dude wants to dig up my predecessor. He's gonna do whatever it takes to kill me.
That's a terrifying role to step into. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my tab on leaders that have actually killed popes, unlike J.D. Vance, who didn't have the balls.
Yeah. He couldn't even do it.
He couldn't even... Anyway, what do you have? What's your tab you brought?
No, thank you. I love that. Like I said, I don't know much of papal history, which
there's too much of it. That's the problem.
There's a lot of them.
There was 1 year where there was like 7 popes.
I do know about that year, and it's bananas. That's a great tab if you haven't like learned about that one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Or the show trial of Pope is it Formosa?
I don't know this one.
Not. Fordosa, for Bubba. They actually did exhume him. Furiosa, Pope Furiosa. They did exhume him. It's like the corpse trial of this Pope.
Oh my God.
And they exhumed him and put him on his corpse on trial. Anyway, so
Okay, well,
what
I
do you
love
got?
that.
What do you have?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to talk today about whaling.
Okay.
How much do you know about the industry of whaling?
You know, not very much. All I know
Okay.
is that they are the reason that whales are like almost extinct, and also that they
Yes.
ate a bunch of turtles.
Yeah, they did.
That's like whalers were just digging turtle meat out like a bowl with a spoon,
Apparently,
like that kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Slurping that turtle meat out.
Slurping it up. Yeah, whaling, pretty bad. Notoriously pretty bad for
Yeah.
like the whales and the environment.
I know that it was very East Coast based
Yes.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And that
so,
men would go out and whale and not come back for like a year or ever.
yeah,
That's pretty much all I
exactly.
know.
Hunting whales for meat and blubber has been going on since prehistoric times. But
Right.
then industrial revolution starts to come and they're like, we can use this blubber as oil. And that's when like they kind of kick it into overdrive and kill like so
There's
many
infinite
whales.
numbers of these guys. We'll be fine.
They're so easy to find.
And the thing is the ocean was like filled with whales.
Yeah.
Sad.
So you were mentioning like the length of voyages, and I'm kind of like inferring here, but so they could be several months to several years, depending on the size of the ship. But it seems like as it got harder to find whales, as they overfished, they would have to go deeper and deeper out into the ocean, or further and further out. And so I think that would also add to the voyage length.
Right. Oh.
The longest whaling voyage was 11 years, which no thank you.
Wait, what?
11
They eat
years.
Richard Parker out there?
They probably did. It was
Tying that in.
The ship Nile is the name of the ship. I didn't look into it. That's not the tab.
Oh no, what have you done? That's an insanely long trip. Imagine being gone for 11 years.
I wouldn't. I would just toss me
I'd be
overboard.
like, just throw me in the ocean.
Yeah.
Eat me like a turtle.
Me like a turtle.
Trying to
don't
find
wanna
new
be on the ship.
death phrases.
All right. So that's kind of like a very, very basic overview of whaling.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that everyone kind of knows and associates with whaling and sailing back then is that it was very much a masculine dominated world, right?
Right.
There's like that conception that it is bad luck to have a woman on board.
Oh,
right.
That's right.
So instead of talking about actually whaling, we're going to talk about the whalers' wives today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude. I got so excited. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what are they doing? Just chilling?
So most of them chill, but some of them demand to be brought along. And
I
they're
would
like,
have probably been one of those.
I thought maybe. Do you like being on a ship?
No, I throw up all the time.
Yeah.
But
Okay, well,
I would have
to,
FOMO.
like-
I have
That's
FOMO. I'd
true.
be like, oh, what are they doing?
Honestly, that's kind of what it comes down to. They're like, we
FOMO?
got married and I haven't seen you in like 4 years.
11 years.
So could you maybe bring me on your next voyage? Like
Yeah,
that
that
was
makes sense.
often people start asking to do this like early 1800s, but it's still very much
Okay.
not a thing. Like it's very risque. It's very scandalous.
Interesting. Do you know why
Um,
that they were considered bad luck, or is it just kind of like we don't want these?
I was reading a little bit about how like the Victorian ideals of like the
Mm.
sea is for men and the land is for women.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think the land is for all of us, and none of us should go out to sea or to space
I think we're not supposed to go there.
or in the air. Actually, sea is fine, but whenever I'm in an airplane, I'm like, this is unnatural.
Shouldn't be up here.
I shouldn't be
up
here. I don't belong. This is birds' place. This is the birds' area.
Yeah. So like I think that was a little bit it of like the
Okay.
men, and they didn't want like a distraction on board. They didn't want. I don't know. I didn't.
Why
go
did
too
I
much-
just went somewhere dark with that? Like, I actually wouldn't want to be on board with only men
No.
because they.
No.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have a choice in anything.
Doesn't feel safe.
I take that all back. I don't ever want to be on a boat with just men. I take it all back.
Take it all back. All right. So, like I said, still pretty scandalous at this point. And so, like, one case is Abby Jane Morrill demanded
Okay.
to sail with her husband, Benjamin, in 1829. Because they got married when she was 15. And the day after her wedding day, he went on like a multi-year voyage. So they were
Uh-oh.
like, I do goodbye.
I will say, sorry to interrupt. I will
No.
say, if everyone's thinking, this is one of my other historical pet peeves that people get wrong, is that wasn't normal to marry a 15-year-old.
That was unusual.
That was unusual.
Yeah.
Even for the time, they didn't. Unless you were like wealthy or it was an arranged marriage or you were royalty, people got married 19 to 25.
That seems more what I was seeing. The 15-year-old thing was weird to read.
It's odd. Yeah.
So by the time he got back, I think she was closer to that age range. And she was like, all right, I've seen you for like a day of our marriage. Can you take me with you next time? And he, like 2 days before he sails, he's like, all right, you can come. Fine.
Oh.
People, like, he's like, but I don't want people to know because, like, it's not great. It's not a good look for me to bring a woman on board. And so
my friends aren't going to like me as much.
Yeah, I'm not going to be that cool.
Like, Ben's awesome, and I heard that he has a wife.
Did you hear his wife is kind of a
little ball and chain? Always wanted to come on whaling adventures with me.
How dare her? Unfortunately, on this trip, her and 11 other men got cholera, and Benjamin was too embarrassed to pull into port to get medical assistance. Benjamin's not great.
Benjamin! Sounds like he didn't like his child bride to begin with.
He was like, I was trying to get away from you.
Wait, that's really sad. So wait, did she go on the boat and she was hiding?
Basically, and this kind of prevails throughout this whole subject. The captain's wives would always be placed in quarters that were separate from everyone else.
Okay.
They were very much like supposed to be separate from everyone. It didn't always happen, but like they were very much confined. So I don't know in 1829, but I'm guessing she probably just stayed in his quarters.
And then he wouldn't pull into port, so she died?
She did not die.
She didn't die? Okay.
No.
Okay.
But 2 men did.
Okay.
Everyone else got better. No one else found out. And he was like, thank God, my reputation.
Women are still unlucky. Because this is why women are unlucky. It's because it's always self-imposed, like, we can't have one on here. And so they don't do normal things, like help with medical stuff.
They're like, I'm dying. And he's like, yeah, but
there's a lady on
someone
board.
might see my wife.
Bye.
Yeah.
Do not be so mad. I'd be like, throw your wife overboard. I want to live.
Right. Like, okay, I need medicine.
I'd love some medicine, please. Wow.
So that's 1829. So it's still very like rare at this point. And then we'll fast forward a bit to like 1845. It's starting to, other women are starting to ask. It's still fairly rare, but like it's not unheard of. There's one woman, Mary Ann Sherman, who 19-year-old bride in 1845 wants to go with her husband, and her family was like so shocked and scandalized by this that they put up a gravestone for her. And
it's pretty much like, you're dead to us?
Yeah, you're dead to us. They put her sailing date as her death date. They were like, done.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
that's just getting disowned by your family to the point where they just have a fake funeral for you. It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. It's, you made your point, right?
Honestly, goals.
Yeah. So like she has 2 gravestones because she did die 5 years later. I didn't see of what, but she died very young. But she has 2 headstones.
Whoa. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, goals. I'd love to have 2 headstones from no fault of my own.
I will collect every headstone.
Yeah. Yes. Alyssa, I'll get you 2 headstones if I outlive you.
Oh my God, thank you. Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch all the headstones. That's what friends do.
Yeah. Get me. That's all I want for my funeral.
They're like, what are you doing here? And why do you have another headstone?
I'm like,
I get escorted out of your funeral.
Instead of a grave, I just want a row of stones.
That's all. Look, I'll do it. Consider it done.
Amazing. This is a record. This is a formal record, so like people can know. So not great, right? But
no.
Like 5 years later, 1850s, 1 in every 6 whale ships would carry the captain's wife aboard.
Oh,
so like
it was becoming
more accepted. And from with the numbers that we've seen, we're guessing between 300 and 400 women total joined their husbands on these whaling voyages. And so we know about this because the women were like very good at journaling. So we have like some surviving journals.
They're stuck in a room.
Yeah, that's the thing. They did not get to do anything on these ships.
They just got to journal in a ship in a tiny room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it's prison.
Everything I read about this, I was like, I don't know why this is preferable. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so you may be asking why. Why would you go on this voyage? This seems
Yeah.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, only way they could really spend any time with their husbands. And we're kind of like in the Victorian time where romantic love is like now a
Yep.
thing. It's no
Flourishing.
longer, yeah, like they're like, oh, I actually like the guy I married.
I want to be with the guy I married.
Yeah. So a lot of these women who like demanded to go were like truly like in love with their husbands and wanted to be with them. And the captains vice versa.
Oh,
Which is kind of sweet. Like it's,
yeah.
you know, that's nice.
I guess.
If
You're gonna die somewhere, you may as well be with your husband.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
kinda
know.
how I see it.
I couldn't do the seasickness.
No.
But
I hear you get used to it though, like after a while. From the family records I've read about them just throwing up for 3 weeks straight, there was someone who described
it goes away.
It goes away, but there was someone who described when the boat would rock, the vomit would just go back and forth on the floor.
Oh my God.
That's from a family member's journal.
Oh.
I was like, dude, I'm descended from you for sure. You're talking about puke. Like,
I have a quote for you later. You're going to love it.
Yes. Okay.
So it became more socially acceptable. Sometimes captains would order their wives to come with them.
Oh.
It doesn't seem like that's more the norm. It was more like the woman being like, yeah, I'm coming with you.
Right. They wanted to.
So living conditions on a whaling ship are not pleasant. And I'm going to send you a picture of how crowded it would be. This is the deck of a whaling ship.
Oh. It's just crammed. So what it looks like is it's got, there's like 20 people in this, and it's a tiny little boat, and it just looks miserable. They're all just kind of they all got hats on. They look, really tired and worn down.
Yeah. They're doing hard work.
Yeah, they don't look happy. And there's a bunch of them, and there's like, I mean, the ship is tiny. There's barely any room to walk on the deck. I always pictured the deck being way bigger, but it's not.
No. So like these, and then hold on, I'm going to send you one more.
Looks awful.
Just for like comparison, a ship of this size that I'm sending you, if it was a merchant ship, would need about 10 people to crew it.
Okay.
If it's a whaling ship, they need about 30.
Is that just because whales are hard to catch or whatever?
Whaling and
manage?
So like, I think it's so difficult to process the whale, which they had to do at sea.
I didn't even think about that. They probably have to like skin it and okay. So this picture is like a cross section of this boat, and it's just there's nowhere for anyone to be. There's just 3 little compartments. So
those you see all the like barrels at the bottom. That would all be like the oil.
That's the whale oil.
Yeah.
Isn't that extremely flammable?
That's like the whole point of it is that it burns well.
Right. Like what with some like you get in a whale, you get shot down by something, and I guess you don't. There's no like boats that shoot. I don't even know. No, there are. I don't know anything about boats. I'm realizing.
Honestly, I was like, oh, I could go down a lot of tab holes on this. Like
tab holes. I
do not know tab holes.
All I know is I'd rather die than be on one of these.
Yeah, very cramped.
Yeah,
the little rooms on that cross section that are labeled A, B, and C. That is the captain's wife and family's quarters.
Okay, so they got a little more room. Where does everyone else sleep?
So that kind of empty spot at the front of the boat.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the other men would just cram in.
The other 30 men would just cram in there. Whoa.
Yeah. There was some
I understand why people mutiny. I understand why people mutiny, because if I saw that the captain and his wife had as big of a room as I had to share with 29 other men,
immediately I'd be so mad.
And if I'm out sea for a long time and angry and sick and scurvy, I'd be like, I think we should kill the captain.
Something's off here. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, so those were their quarters. They had a private sitting room, a bedroom, and then a forward cabin where they would share their meals with their officers.
Okay.
So that's A, B, and C. And then a fun little shed you see on top.
Yeah.
Sometimes a captain would build a deck house for his wife on the deck.
Okay, like this sounds like I'm not a good feminist, okay? I kind of get it. I'm putting myself in the shoes of like a whaler from the 1850s. And this lady's on board, and she has 2 whole rooms to herself? Yeah. Again, I'm not I'm not anti-feminist. I just get.
No.
I think I get it. I think I'd
I
be like,
think-
get her off of here, or get him. Get. I want that space.
That is
anyway.
Space is at a premium on a whaling ship.
Yeah.
So like,
Okay, so you
yeah,
sent me a picture of a shed.
that's a reproduction of the deck house that the wives
That's
would stay in.
tiny. Okay, that's
it's
tiny.
about 6 feet by 6 feet.
Okay, I'm a feminist again. I'm back.
I'm back. Back home.
I'm back. She should have this. My morals are. You're testing my morals. I've come out as pro mutiny and anti woman on boat.
We all are pretty pro mutiny. Okay, so that little shed is the deck house, and they would like take their tea there. It was one way for them to kind of try to see the horizon.
Okay.
Because most of the time they had to remain in their quarters, which means they're below deck. And so they're severely seasick pretty much the entire time.
I am a feminist again.
Yeah. And so the deck house was like the one way they could go up on board and like get some fresh air and maybe try to help with that.
That sounds horrible. Because I guess, the horizon helps you not be seasick.
It does. Yeah. That's like one of the things they tell you to do if you're like...
Yeah.
To get
in a car
steady. Mm-hmm.
or in a boat.
So they would have these deck houses. They also were not allowed on the deck. Like I said, space was a premium. When a whale was being processed, it took up so much space.
Oh, yeah.
It stunk. It was dirty. It was bloody. And there was smoke because they were rendering everything into oil.
Oh, my God.
So it was kind of a nightmare. Like,
that like makes me like want to puke.
I don't know how, again, these women were brave.
Yeah.
Hashtag brave.
I think I would die immediately back in the day. If I had to go back there with my countenance and my disposition now, I'd kill myself. Nail gun to the head, you know?
Nail gun to the head.
Hunt me like a whale.
Process me like a whale.
Process me like a whale. What is it called when they make the oil? Is it just processing?
I think there's other terms. I didn't want to look too hard at whaling methods because it was kind of a huge bummer.
I'm glad we don't do it as much anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty restricted nowadays.
Yeah, I do know that there's certain tribes do have whaling rights though in some areas
they
because
also
it's
do it
part
in,
of
like,
their
a sustainable way and not in like an industrial way.
Not in a European industrial way. Yeah,
it's all terrible. Anyways, so like I mentioned, severely seasick. Here's the quote that I think you're gonna love from Elizabeth Stetson. She wrote, "Eat and then vomit is the order of the day."
That could also be described as being pregnant.
True.
But without the smell of whale guts. Eat and then vomit is the order of the day.
Mm-hmm. So I'm painting like a
Horrible.
pretty bleak picture.
Mm-hmm.
Also, their clothes are always probably wet.
Yeah.
They never dried properly.
Those big dresses getting all like soaking wet. Oh.
Yeah. And they would like want to like line dry them, but then like the ocean breeze would like blow them.
What are the pros? Why are there pros?
There are a few pros. The pros are that some of them got to see like new countries and got to see more things in the world. And so they seem to enjoy this.
Yeah.
The other pro is that they got to spend time with their husband.
Yeah.
I would argue, though, one of the other pros that I think, like, in my research I kept kind of seeing is one of the ways that they could interact with the crew is they could be the nurse.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so...
Would they get paid to do that?
I don't know if they got paid, but the captain's wife would eat better than everyone else. She did get better quarters. So I think it was maybe like one of those things where she's like, well, I want to help. Like,
it was bearable.
Kind of hate me otherwise.
Oh, right. If I don't help them in some way, I'll be dead.
Yeah. Like I should maybe be their nurse. So
be their mom. I'll be all their mom. Mom's
fine. Ship mom.
Ship mom. Shit mom. That's what I heard you say.
It's also a shit mom.
Yeah. A vomit, puke mom. Okay, that makes sense. So she's kind of like the matron of the ship a little bit.
Yeah. And there was actually one woman who, let me grab her name. Caroline Mayhew. She sailed with her husband for years and years. Started in 1834. In 1846, still sailing with him.
Whoa.
She helped care for 8 men on board who had smallpox.
Oh, what?
And then she navigated the ship while her husband was ill.
Love her.
So, like, she's awesome. I think she could probably be her own tab.
Good for her. That's how you do it. I mean, I'm sure that women have carried... There's the thing. Spouses have been the backbone of all these men we read about for all of time. But it's fun to see documentation of some of it, you know?
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. So a lot of captains would teach their wives like navigational skills in case
Cool.
there was like an accident or something. So in some ways, you know, they got to learn things. They got to like do skills that they normally wouldn't do at home.
Right. Oh, okay.
So
I
there
guess
was
it's like a break from the humdrum of like living in Connecticut or Maine and having.
What do you do in Maine?
I don't know. Lobsters?
You just do lobsters.
Have you been to Maine? I've never been to Maine.
I've never been. My East Coast knowledge is pretty limited.
Me too. Once you hit like Wyoming, and I'm like, I don't know.
What's after that?
Nebraska, I know. It's Nebraska and beyond. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a mystery to me.
No idea. I'm from the square states.
Yes.
I don't go to the wiggly states. Those guys are scary because they're wiggly.
They're wiggly. I can't predict them.
Which state am I in? If I don't have a perfectly straight line.
Love the four corners for a reason.
I love the four corners. Yeah, you just draw a square, or like trying to draw in California even. I'm like, this is hard. Even though most of it's just square.
Yeah, this side's fine. Wait, this side's fine.
Colorado is a rectangle.
Yeah, it's the best. Although I get annoyed whenever there's like state like specific products come out. Like, it's a cutting board shaped like your state. And I'm like, well, that's useless.
It's just a regular cutting board.
Yeah. Why did we do
I
this?
also have a Colorado shaped cutting board.
And I didn't have to buy it from Etsy.
It just is at Target.
Okay, so we're talking about the living conditions. They're pretty crappy. They ate better than the crew, but that had a wide range. Sometimes that means like they were eating a really great Christmas dinner.
Okay.
Sometimes it means they just got extra hard bread. Like it kind of varied on the ship.
I kind of love hard bread though.
Like a cracker?
I only eat Colorado shaped crackers.
We're talking like saltines.
I just like when bread's a little bit like not old, but like chewy,
firm.
Let's just say I would have made a great prisoner because just bread and water. I'm there.
I love it. It's a luxury for me.
I would love some bread. Okay, I've also been on a low carb diet. That might explain why I'm like I'd eat any bread right now,
dude. Yeah, I cut out bread a long time ago, so when I have it, it's a treat. Yeah, it's stupid.
We should get some bread together.
Oh my god, do you want to go get bread?
We should just eat bread. That's the whitest girl thing I've ever heard. This is what happens when we don't have like one non-white person on here. We just talk about eating bread.
Oh my god, don't you love bread? Like,
I love bread. And I love crackers.
I like bland.
I need
bland
beige
bread.
Food. Like our cultural heritage is beige food. All right.
It's just the color beige.
It's like our face, like our faces. Okay.
So that's kind of the living conditions. Like I said, they didn't have much to do, so they sewed a lot. They read a lot if they weren't sick. One woman like even ripped up her wedding dress because she was so bored and like just was like, I'll sew this together.
Oh, I thought you meant she like ripped it up in a frenzy. She was also, like, why was her wedding dress there? Whatever. Doesn't matter.
These are the questions we should be asking. They did kind of have like supportive circles with other whaling wives. So whenever they did like go to shore, they would exchange recipes. They would kind of like socialize. They would commiserate.
Kind of like army wives a little bit.
Yeah. It was a very like specific lived experience that they didn't get to share with a lot of people. And there's something called a gamming chair.
Okay.
That I want to send to you.
Okay.
So whenever they would meet up with other whaling ships at sea, usually the men would like boat ladder to the other ship, and that wasn't very dignified
for a woman to do.
Yeah, so they invented this like chair that they would kind of lower her down.
Whoa! So it looks like she's just in a swing. Yeah. It looks like this lady who's like in nice little petticoats and like a nice hat, and these men are she's in like a swing.
She's like lower
like it looks
me down.
like a half a barrel. They they cut a barrel in half to make it into a chair.
Yes, and it often was half a barrel.
Really? Okay. Yeah. And then they just look like they're just lowering her down in this nice little chair.
Yeah.
This is an amazing photo,
right?
Yeah.
So that sounds nice. It often would like get twisted and would sometimes dunk the wife. So I'm like, I don't think it was better.
It's the whaling life.
Sometimes they were allowed to bring their children on board.
I was going to ask, were there children involved in any of this?
Sometimes. And so if they already had children, like toddlers, grown children, they could bring them or they could leave them with a relative. Both pros and cons.
I just would never trust a toddler on a boat.
No, especially because
Ever.
the crew would get annoyed if they were loud. And
yeah.
so the wife would
And the
have
toddler
to
would just, jump.
scream. Yeah, or jump. Yeah, you went further.
Sorry, that's just like, I was on a boat with my kid once, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is an insane idea.
No,
Why do we take kids on boats? Because my kid was just like leaning over the edge like an insane amount. I'm like,
You're like, no.
don't do that.
Step back, buddy. A woman named Maria Hamblin brought 2 of her children on board.
Okay.
And they amused themselves by riding on the back of the ship's Galapagos tortoise. Which I was like, Jonathan?
It's Jonathan. Well, because wouldn't they keep them on there to like eat later or something?
Yeah.
Because they were
But
like pretty much, they didn't have to eat. Anyway, so
Yeah.
they would draw on the tortoise.
They would
Do you have a
ride on
picture?
him.
Oh, right.
Don't. I looked really hard. They also like to
like-
swing on the rigging.
Again, as a parent, I'm like, absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
Nope. Second
That's
a
how you
kid is
lose a
involved
kid.
in this, I'm out. We're
Right.
not being on this boat anymore.
No.
Ooh.
So that was like grown children. And then sometimes women would be pregnant on these
I was going
voyages.
to also ask that. Would they give birth on these voyages?
Seldomly. And if that was the case, it was usually the captain who was doing the delivery, or if they were lucky and like within sight of another whaling ship, another whaling wife would come and be the midwife.
Oh, okay. Midwife. Because I was going to say, well, women didn't really let men, men weren't really involved in that.
But more often than not, when they were pregnant, the captain would drop them off at a port and be like, see you next season.
Yeah.
Good luck with the baby.
Good luck with our baby.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I would have wanted to be dropped off.
Yeah. I've never had the experience of being pregnant. It doesn't sound fun. I can't imagine being pregnant on a ship. On a whaling ship.
I already feel nauseous just thinking about it. Like the idea of,
Yeah.
And like some people love being pregnant. Good for them. But like,
Good for them.
it's awful.
Everything I've heard is kind of a horror story, but
It's-
I
mean, there's no way out of it. Yeah, there is. But, like if you've chosen to keep your child or whatever, it's like, hey, I have to bear this. And it does end. But like if I'm on a boat, no way. No way.
Yeah.
No.
One gal wrote, baby born about 12 caught 2 rats in her ship log.
Did the baby catch the rats or did she catch the rats? It's like the first thing he did was come out and catch rats. God.
I thought you would like her.
I love that. Instead of, I can't stop picturing a newborn catching rats. And instead of like having like a cat on the ship to catch the rats, they just give birth to a kid who's the rat catcher.
That's our baby rat catcher.
That's a great story.
You should draw
See,
that.
I told you I have to bring a little bit of Kaveh to this. I gotta make a story out of something.
So yeah, I think I'll land the plane. This is what I've learned about them. And I think the interesting thing about these whaling wives is that whether they chose to go with their husbands to sea or if they stayed back, either way, they were pushing gender roles.
Right.
Because at sea, that's not normal. Like they were pushing societal barriers there. But if they were left behind, they were running the household. They were running the farm. They were in charge of the finances. Like they were doing all of it. And so either way, like they were pretty cool. They did a lot.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to run literally everything. They're kind of in a weird limbo too, where it's like, where do you fit?
Yeah. They said they lived almost like a widow because, you don't see your husband for years.
But a widow with rights.
Yes.
A widow with land rights and like.
Yes. So it was a
Whoa.
Again, I would choose to stay back, but that's just me.
Me too.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I always think about. It's like, that'd be great for a lesbian.
So good.
Think about it. He comes back, gets you pregnant, and he's gone again. And you're like, I can hang out with my best friend now.
Yeah, this is actually the best case scenario for me.
The lesbian's dream life in the 1800s.
Yeah. Truly.
I always go to that. I'm like, would it be as bad? And maybe it's because I'm just not straight.
Sure. But like, you've got a good point, and I think you're right.
I think because if I was a lesbian, I could have my own house. I could have kids if I wanted.
Yeah.
I could have my girlfriend under wraps, and I wouldn't have to see my male spouse
once a
4 years.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. Done.
Sounds great.
Secrets to a successful marriage.
To a successful lesbian with a man marriage.
That's right. Yeah.
And it honestly, if he's gay, okay, look, if you needed to hide,
This is a
if you
win-win.
guys both knew each other were gay, be like, I'm gonna be a whaler and go with my boys, and maybe die.
A boys'
But
trip.
hey, boys trip, and then I'll stay here with my gals, and we'll have a couple kids here and there.
This is the best case scenario.
One of my favorite things is to just try to figure out what queer people were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And this would be ideal.
I want to do more research into this. This would be ideal. You're right.
Lesbian whaling wives. Sounds
so niche.
Amazing.
That's the Oscar-winning or nominated. Let's be real.
Nominated. I don't think
nominated film next year.
Yeah, it's not. If there's no white lady saving person of color, then it's not going to win. But
it might be nominated. Of hands is all it is.
Just barely. I need to see if there's. I'm sure there's romance novels written about this. There's gotta be.
And if not, I know what we're doing after this.
Write and illustrate a lesbian whaling wife romance.
Okay, that would sell. That would sell.
That would sell so much. Are you kidding?
We can do this.
Anyway, that's amazing.
Anyway, that's my tab.
Look at them.
I hope you enjoyed learning about whaling wives.
I loved that. I loved learning about whaling wives. I love the 1800s.
Yeah,
I love
a lot happens in the 1800s.
Dude, I was like, when I was reading about Europe in the 1300s, I was like, it's this century, and then the 1800s are like these insane moments in Western history.
Yeah.
Where it's like, just everything happens.
It's weird.
And you know what, now that I think about it, it's the whole world order shifts in both of those. Like the plague happens, and there's no more feudal society because the poor can now afford land of people who've died.
Yeah.
Huge shift in like human rights in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the Industrial Revolution happens, and again, huge shift in everything. Interesting.
Yeah.
I thank you so much. I feel I worry that I talked over you too much. I'm sorry if I did.
Did I talk over you too much?
Not at all.
Okay, then I think we're good.
Okay, we're good.
We're so good.
We're not mad at each other.
I swear I'm not mad.
I'm not mad either. I'm only mad at fascists.
Yeah.
But no, that was delightful. Thank you. And I
welcome.
love the idea that they were pushing gender norms.
Yeah.
Because they were, and it was essential. That's the thing. Like with the Industrial Revolution comes a bunch of like crazy industry, and you can't stop it. So what are you going to do but adapt? Which means women now have more rights, whether they want it or not, whether men want it or not.
They don't. But, we do.
They don't. No. But like little tiny steps.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to think of it as kind of a step forward there.
I love that. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now we got to find a way to close our tabs. What sound effect would you like to dig around for in the archives to use for this?
Oh my God. There's been some fun ones lately.
But yeah, what we'll see.
So we've got
nail gun?
Nail gun. It's a nail gun.
Nail gun.
Nail gun our tabs. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to, okay. Do you want to count us down?
Sure. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Nail gun these tabs. Right in their skull, just like Pope John the First. Or no. I've already forgotten. Just
one
like
of them.
The guy, one of them.
Just that, like that Pope.
This is just like the one Pope. And now we're going to move on to listener mail.
Yes.
And I will go first.
Okay.
Mine is from Kate from, I think, Blackpool, England. I don't know for sure, but Kate, and I picked listener mails that include you in some way, by the way, Alyssa.
I'm so touched.
Even if it's just a mention.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
Kate from Blackpool writes, so I'm a bit behind, admittedly. I'm on episode 37, which is the second episode with Alyssa, and she mentions Blackpool, which is a really interesting town with a lot of cool history. Because that's the place the Dennison sisters,
the penny arcades. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I especially love the Pleasure Beach, which is an amusement park and something I could talk about all day. But I'm just going to mention 2 things quickly. The first is that Walt Disney used to visit and apparently would bounce ideas off of the owners of the park while he was planning Disneyland/Disney World, the California one. And the second thing is that Sir Hiram Maxim, which sounds like a fake name, the inventor of the automatic machine gun, actually designed a ride there, and it's called the Sir Hiram Maxim Captive Flying Machine, Or the flying machines if you're a normal person.
If you don't want to say the full name.
Hiram, it seems like he just made it for fun. Like he made the machine gun. He had a legal battle with Edison about who invented the light bulb, but it's like he made the machine, but he didn't have a legal battle with Edison about who invented the light bulb. But dude just really liked flight. I mean, he was probably paid quite handsomely, but also he just wanted people to experience flight. Mm-hmm. It was 1904, to put some perspective onto it. It was essentially just a big circle swing like the ones you get at fairgrounds. As they spin around and gain momentum, you lift out a little bit. It's just one of those, but with more phallic carts that seat multiple people instead of just one.
Is there a picture?
Yes, hold on.
I'm sorry, you can't say phallic and not back that
No,
up.
I know. I've got a picture. The phallic carts of Sir Maxim's flying machine. Okay, there it is. This thing's still around.
I mean, they are.
They're phallic, yeah.
They are.
Those are flying penises.
They could have tried a little harder to make them rockets.
They just didn't. They really, man, you know? Man, yeah. Am I right?
Am I right?
Am I right? And that's from the tab she included. The ride is still operating, which is really cool. It's one of my favorite rides there, and my family's name was scratched onto the paint of one of the seats for about 10 years before they repainted it. Keep it Josie, Kate. Surname redacted so I don't get in trouble for graffiti. P.S. Just to be clear, this is not a pro-Edison household. It's also not pro-machine gun, but it is pro-flying machine.
Okay. I can stand behind that.
Me too. P.P.S. I did bully my partner into listening. You're welcome for that. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Bully all of your partners into listening to this.
Look, we love polyamory because that's more listeners.
Yeah. Share this with your polycool.
Share this with your polycool. Polycool sounds like a Pokemon. Anyway, your turn.
Okay. My listener email is from Kim, from Queens. Nice. Hi, Hannah, Kaveh, and Alyssa.
Yeah.
Greetings from Queens.
I picked that one because it was like, your name's in it. They actually included you, which is awesome.
Oh, that's so nice. I love that. My name is Kim. I've followed 500 tabs from Musical Splaining and have been having a good time listening and sharing episodes with friends. Recently, I also followed the Discord chat, which get on there if you aren't there. It's very fun.
Today we talked about basketball if it were horses instead of humans. So if that tells you anything about the Discord, hop on.
I wanted to send an email from the get, but a majority of the tabs I have are a stone cold bummer. Here's a tab that I'm hoping can be spread to continue the feeling of community togetherness, neighbors helping each other out. This brought me to this 2018 East Hampton Star article by Andrea Meyer. It talks about Princess Pocahontas Pharaoh and her prominent family who led the Montauk tribe in what is colloquially known as Montauk. Yes, Eternal Sunshines meet me in Montauk. Princess Pocahontas Pharaoh is known as the last Montaukett born on the Montauk Reservation. A year after her birth, Arthur Benson, known for developing suburbs in Montauk and Bensonhurst, purchased Montauk for $151,000, forcing the tribe off their land.
Boo.
Princess Pocahontas' brother, King Wyandanch Pharaoh, fought the courts for their land back until 1910. Judge Abel Blackmar unjustly ruled that the Montauk tribe no longer exists and therefore no longer has the right to own their land.
He's like, I'm literally standing right here.
He's like, but I do exist.
I do. I'm like right here talking to you. Dude.
Since then, the tribe has not been federally recognized. Princess Pocahontas Pharaoh spent the latter part of her life in the Freetown section of East Hampton. A consolation prize she and Montauketts were given out of this whole thing. For survival, she did custodial work for the telephone company's East Hampton offices and lived to be 84 years old. Based on historians and the U.S. Census between 1658 and 2020, Montauk's indigenous population dwindled from 500 to 16.
16.
And here she says, I thought you said this wasn't going to be a stone cold bummer.
Yeah.
From here, I found out legislation to recognize the Montauketts has been introduced since 2013. This is a huge step for them to get their land back. However, Governor Cuomo...
I like Cuomo. Governor Cuomo.
Put me in a coma.
Put me in a coma with Governor Cuomo.
However, Governor Cuomo vetoed it thrice. Yeah. And so far, Governor Hochul has vetoed it twice as of December 12th, 2024. Keep it Josie.
So I did a follow-up on this because I was like,
Okay.
It has been vetoed for the 6th time, but they are still fully fighting for this. Like, they're not giving up. So there's a bunch of people. You go look it up. Go find some of the Instagram pages. I'll try to link some. But there's a full, like, push to get this recognized, and they're making headway. It's been passed by one. It just needs to be signed off by the governor.
Okay.
So if they'll do it.
Progress.
So I'll put some links. But yeah, so it did get less like of a bummer. But yeah, man.
Well,
You can't just decide someone doesn't exist.
No, that's not how that works.
It's not. Unfortunately, it kind of is how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry. On that note, that was kind of a bummer. Sorry about that.
But thanks for sending it anyways. It's always good to learn more about what's happening and
The atrocities.
The atrocities.
If you want to submit your own listener mail, you can email us at 500opentabs@gmail.com. That's the number 500. And you can follow us at the same handle on Instagram and Blue Sky. And Alyssa, I'd love for you to plug. Alyssa's an artist. For those who don't know, she's not just an editor. She's also an artist.
I can do two things.
Two things.
I can do two things. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Steamboat Lissy. And yeah, I don't post a whole lot, but sometimes I do. And it's usually art. So
yeah. You've been doing some cool stuff lately. Some cool glow-in-the-dark stuff.
Yeah, the glow-in-the-dark thing has been really fun. And like a process.
Follow her so that we can, when you do get into conventions and stuff, people can see. All three of us do conventions, which is something we all share in common.
Yes.
Along with having a billion open tabs. And share this, everyone. If you heard something in this episode that made you think, oh, I know a whaler's wife, or I also want the Pope. I also think J.D. Vance killed the Pope. And so does my friend. I'm going to send this episode to those friends and family who you think might like this, because podcasts are famously non-algorithmic. So we can still spread these based on word of mouth, and it's great. So please do. Yeah. And if you want to support us financially, we have a Patreon. There's lots of fun clips that Alyssa makes and I put up of us just being dumb, mostly. Yeah.
It's stuff that doesn't, make the final cut, but still fun times.
It's just fun. It's not useful, but it's fun.
No.
And there's going to be some more things coming on the Patreon soon. Some plans in the mix. And
yes.
We have a Discord. We have YouTube. We have lots of stuff. I'll put all the links in the bio. In the bio? Links in the bio? No, links in the thing.
Links in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah. We got you.
And Alyssa, thank you for editing this when you do edit it. And also thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
I'm so glad I know you. I'm glad we met you and this all happened. This is so fun.
This is a very, very good thing in my life. So I'm so happy that we're here.
Keep this show afloat like a whaling ship.
I am the whaling wife of this.
You're the whaling wife. And you know what? When I can, I'm going to build you that up on the deck. What is it called?
The deck house.
The deck house. We're going to build you a deck house of this whaling boat of a podcast if it kills me.
Just give me my multiple headstones. That's all I want.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yes,
Follow
thank you,
us and Alyssa. And again, thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you. And I'll see you at the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
Yeah. I'll see you there. And you know who we won't see there? Because he's moving?
Kaveh.
Taherian. But it's going to be a girls' night at the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
Girls trip.
Woo!
All right.
Anyway, bye, everybody. Isn't it weird? We never know how to sign off. So I just talk, and then
I fade it out.
You fade it out, and you're going to fade it out right about like now, probably.